Welcome to Iraqi Dinar Update, your go-to source for the latest news, expert insights, and real-time developments on Iraq's currency, economy, and financial reforms. Whether you're a long-time investor or just curious about the dinar, you're in the right place. The Central Bank of Iraq, CBI, is currently undergoing a deeply strategic and complex process aimed at modernizing its monetary system, and one of the most visible signs of this transformation is its ongoing effort to collect large quantities of the so-called 30 notes from circulation. These are the large-denomination Iraqi dinar banknotes, such as the 25,000, 10,000, and 5,000 dinar bills, which were introduced after 2003 in response to the need for high-value notes in a post-war cash-heavy economy that lacked trust in banking systems. Now, with Iraq stabilizing its financial infrastructure, these high-denomination notes are beginning to serve a different purpose in the broader monetary reform roadmap, and the CBI is methodically withdrawing them from the market for reasons tied to both physical cash policy and digital financial inclusion. What's important to understand here is that the central bank isn't just collecting these notes because they are worn out or outdated. They are doing it as part of a policy recalibration that's rooted in long-term financial planning, including a desire to rebalance the economy toward digital finance. The removal of 30 notes from circulation is effectively shrinking the money supply in physical form, something that makes digital management of currency easier and more precise. When a country relies heavily on cash, it becomes more difficult for the central bank to enforce monetary policy effectively. Physical cash, especially large denominations, can move through informal markets, get hoarded, or even circulate outside the formal financial system. By removing these notes from circulation, the CBI is essentially corralling the currency back into a more measurable, manageable, and traceable form, ultimately to feed it into a digital system. Once these notes are pulled from the street, so to speak, they are not being destroyed in a random fashion. Instead, they are being gathered into state financial channels where they are converted into value stored on electronic banking cards, essentially prepaid or debit-type financial instruments. These cards will hold a digital representation of the money previously held in cash form, and the CBI is carefully aligning this transition to ensure that there is no disparity in value between what is held in paper money and what is loaded onto the card. That's where the need for a consistent rate comes in. The exchange rate, currently set at 1310 dinars to the US dollar for paper currency, has to match the rate applied to digital transactions in order to maintain public trust and economic stability. Any perceived imbalance between paper and digital value could cause panic, confusion, or even bank runs, especially in a society where many people are still transitioning from cash-based to digital financial behavior. At a deeper level, this movement from physical to digital currency is part of Iraq's attempt to integrate with global financial systems and make itself more appealing to international investors. Countries with well-regulated, digitized monetary systems are seen as more stable and reliable. For the CBI, this isn't just about improving internal banking efficiency, it's about laying the groundwork for broader macroeconomic goals, such as increased foreign investment, lower inflation volatility, and potentially a revaluation of the dinar in the future. But none of this can happen unless the domestic monetary environment is well-regulated, modernized, and digitized. Let's also consider how this reform ties into international benchmarks and expectations. Institutions like the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and World Bank often encourage countries undergoing reconstruction and economic development to modernize their banking systems. For Iraq, aligning with such expectations is essential if it seeks broader acceptance into global financial markets. If Iraq wants to someday see its dinar traded internationally at a favorable rate, or even become part of regional financial partnerships, then digitization is not optional, it is a requirement. Critically, the synchronization of rates between the paper dinar and the digital version of it is non-negotiable. Any discrepancy between these two would result in economic distortion. For example, if one Iraqi dinar is worth less in digital form than in paper form, people will hoard the form that offers more value and avoid the other, creating artificial demand and supply issues. That's why the CBI is maintaining the rate parity. What you hold in your hand and what you hold on your card must be equal in value. This is about preserving stability, fairness, and trust, especially at a time when many Iraqis remain skeptical about digital banking due to decades of institutional dysfunction and economic hardship. It also helps build credibility in the digital platform the CBI is trying to build. When users see that their money retains the same value whether it's cash or card, they are more likely to adopt the new system. The more people who transition to digital, the faster the CBI can reach its goal of streamlining monetary policy and reducing the country's dependence on volatile cash-based mechanisms. In essence, this process of withdrawing the 30 notes and integrating their value into digital financial instruments is part of a larger economic recalibration. It is a signal that Iraq is looking toward a future where money is not just a piece of paper but a data point in a sophisticated, accountable, and secure financial system. And while the current exchange rate of 1310 dinars to $1 remains the official reference point, what matters even more is that this rate holds consistent across every medium, whether it's a note in your pocket or a balance on your digital banking card. This isn't just technical monetary policy, it's a broader statement about where Iraq is heading. The move is filled with symbolic and practical implications. It tells the world that Iraq is no longer a frontier economy where cash is king and digital systems are optional. It is transforming into a nation ready to meet 21st century financial expectations. If the CBI continues to manage this transition smoothly, the groundwork will have been laid for even bigger reforms ahead, perhaps even a revaluation of the dinar or a full reintegration into global markets. In the meantime, the citizens of Iraq are witnessing this transformation firsthand. With every large note that disappears from the market and every new banking card that gets loaded with value, a quiet revolution is taking place, one that will shape the future of the country's economy, its global financial relationships, and perhaps even its sense of national pride. Whether this transition is smooth or turbulent depends on many factors, but the intent is clear. Iraq is digitizing its currency, modernizing its economy, and preparing for a more stable financial future where the rate of exchange, whether physical or digital, is a true reflection of national progress. Thanks for tuning in to Iraqi Dinar Update. If you found this content helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a beat on Iraq's evolving financial landscape. Stay informed and stay ready.